Hello everyone, welcome to the Adobe Illustrator Creative Cloud tutorial. I am going to tell you about today some of my processes that I go through to creating some of the wonderful artwork that I like to make with Adobe Illustrator. You can see here on the screen that I'm going to be covering not only a lot of the tools in Adobe Illustrator, but I'm also going to go through some of my favorite menu palettes like the Pathfinder here, the links, the appearance, layers, and of course the character area, which works with your type. So we're going to be spending a lot of time with this, and my goal is to kind of run through some of these key concepts quickly. If you do not have a basic understanding of Illustrator, I'm going to make this as productive as possible. However, if you don't, I recommend www.digitaltutors.com. If you're an Art Institute of Fort Worth student, you have the ability to create your own free account with them. To do that, all you have to do is go through the AIFW library. Just walk up to one of the clerks and say, hey, I'd really like to get my free account, and they'll most certainly set you up. Here we are at Digital Tutors website. You can see that I have been looking at a tutorial myself on mastering the pen tool in Adobe Illustrator. Of course, they have lots of other types of training. You see here they have one called Modeling a Mech Robot in ZBrush. So for all of your fun digital asset needs or digital tutorial needs, please feel free to check out Digital Tutors. One thing that's also really cool about this website is it will make suggestions to you on tutorials that you might like. It'll give you news and updates, and you will also track your progress. So I can look here at some of the progress that I've done. And I can see a lot of the fun stuff that I've been looking at. You can see here that I have viewed 6 courses and done 790 lessons. And I've spent 81 hours on this. I've taken 29 quizzes and I've passed 100% of them and failed none of them. So it's a very, very nice website. I highly recommend it. You even have the opportunity to put your fun little logo on here. So it's great. So the first thing I'm going to talk about when starting an assignment is pretty much your output. So we have to think about what is this item going to be used for. If it's primarily web-based, we need to take advantage of the RGB color mode. So to get started, just go File and hit New. With the New Item menu here, we can give it a name. Okay, just called mine Test. You have different menu profiles. So these are the color profiles here. You can see you've got some default ones like the print, web, devices, video and film, basic RGB. I'll just take advantage of that. You can see that I'm working with only one artboard here. Think of artboards as the number of canvases you're working on. I'm only going to be working on one canvas, so I only have one artboard. The size, you can see you have different presets here. This is being shown to me in points. I don't know anyone who measures anything in points in the real world, so I'm going to switch this over to pixels. Alright. The average computer screen is about 1024 by 768 pixels. That can kind of help you put an idea in about how big you need to make your object. For our purposes, we're going to go HD, so we're going to work with 1920 by 1080. Okay. Color mode is RGB, and the raster effects I'm going to set a little higher than I normally would. But if I was building this for the web, I would leave it at 72. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me move some of this stuff out of the way. All right, so the first thing you'll notice is that my document pops up here. I can zoom in and out with the hotkeys Control plus and Control minus. Another fun thing you'll notice is that you can hold down the space bar and click and drag, and that will allow you to pan your artboard around your screen. Now you also have menu sets over here that you can click on and access different palettes and whatnot. If you ever find yourself in a situation where these palettes get screwed up, all you have to do is go to Window, Workspace, and then change Workspace. Okay, let me open this up so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So again, Window, Workspace, and then adjust the workspace. Okay, that'll just switch you into a new workspace that'll have all of your stuff reset. Okay, move this back over here. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you how to do is import something into Adobe Illustrator. So I'm just going to go to File and Place. Okay, I'm going to grab my file. This is just a JPEG image, and I'll click Place. Alright, so now I have the ability to either just click and drop it in, or I can click and drag it in. So that's great. Let's take a look here and see what my object is that we're working with here. This is a drawing that I did in Photoshop. A small thumbnail that I wanted to make a large piece of artwork from. And you can see it's very sketchy. It has some nice ideas in, but you can see things aren't refined. For example, this hand here is not completely drawn. You can see I've blocked in some details for the chest and some of these areas here for the crotch, but still nothing really super solid yet. Alright. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is essentially make this layer to the unselectable. I want to essentially lower the opacity of this, and then I want to make it unselectable. So what I need are my Appearance tab. With the object selected, you can see I'm using the selection tool here. Okay, you'll note it's the black one, not the white one. The hotkey is V. I'm just going to take the appearance and lower its opacity to about 27–30%. I just need to still be able to see it. Okay, so that works out great. Now on the layer menu set, which you'd find right here, where the artboard normally is, normally connected like so, right there, and I would just lock it, okay, by clicking right there next to the eyeball. Okay, all right. If I unlock it, I can give it a name, base drawing. There we go. And I can go down here to this piece of paper with a dog ear and click Create New Layer. And now I have a new layer to work with, very similar to Photoshop. Alright, so let's start working with this layer. I'm just going to call this line art. Alright. Now, let's go ahead and start producing some of that line art. The first thing I'm going to do is zoom in on a spot that I want to work with. It really doesn't matter where I start as long as I'm happy with it. So I think one easy place for me to begin is right here in the shoulder. So to build this shape, I'm just going to use the shape tool and go down to the ellipse tool. See, I'm just clicking and holding. And I'll hold down shift and drag and make a perfect circle. Now, we have an issue because the way it forms by default is to have a color and a stroke color. So you can see the color has a fill, and to adjust the fill color you just double click on this area and the color picker will pop up. Okay? I can choose any color I want under the sun. Okay? As long as I'm clicking and dragging and finding the one I want and making sure this color changes right here. This is the current color. You can see the RGB values are populating right there, so if I wanted to I could add these in myself. And I've made a very blue ball. Okay. The stroke, I can do the exact same thing. I'll make that red. Okay. You can see I can also increase the stroke here in the top of my menu set. And I can also affect the way this stroke affects this object. So if I click on the stroke panel, I can go over here to the align stroke, and you can see by default it aligns through the middle, but I want it to align through the outside. It's really up to you. This is aligning on the inside. Okay, so I'll just go back to the default for now. I'll lower that. Okay, so this is an issue. How do I see through it? Well, I want to point out that you have this option here, the none. Watch what happens when I click on this. Okay, if I click here and bring the fill color forward and I click on this square again, it'll take the color away. Now watch what happens when I click away. It looks like the object disappeared, but when I click and drag, it reappears. You can see I'm using the selection tool again. I still have access to all of the editable abilities of the object. For example, I can transform its scale and move it into position, and that looks pretty good. So if I want to add a color, I'll just click there and let's pick a color for this. And maybe he's kind of orange or yellow-ish. Okay, and let's give it a stroke color. Probably black. I can also go in and manually input how big the stroke is. For this example, I'm going to use 0.5 because I want you to know that you can use a decimal for this. Now, we're running into an issue. How do I see underneath it? Well, all I have to do is go to View and click on Outline, or use the hotkey Control Y, and I will be allowed to go into outline mode. So let's do that. Now you can. So outline mode has a little bit of an issue behind it because you won't be able to see the drawing behind the shape. However, this will come in handy if you're going to adjust many shapes and you can't find specifics because there's color attached. So that will help you edit and add shapes in the future if you are just specifically using the shapes and you've already got them there and you're trying. So next time I'm going to show you how to create custom shapes.